Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, we're going to be talking about the hopeful return of the Peoplemover to the Magic Kingdom. We're going to talk about changes to Disney cast member guidelines. We're going to talk about the current state of Disney shows and what we think the future holds. And we're going to talk about an article on the Diz written by Diz contributor Shari Kessler entitled Faith, Trust, Where's the Pixie Dust? All that coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined this week by my good friends, Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
Teresa Eccles.
Hey, y'all.
Corey Fiascanaro.
Hey, everyone.
And, of course, our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Hoy, hoy.
And welcome, folks. Hope your week is off to a good start. And just a few things before we get started. Of course, our show is brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com, of which I am one of the owners. And if you enjoy our content, if you like our shows, if you don't want to see Craig homeless on the street, Dreams Unlimited is how we make sure that we're able to do these things. So please show your support. Book your next Disney vacation with Dreams Unlimited Travel, and keep Craig off the streets, because nobody needs to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody needs to see
I agree.
Also, I want to introduce you all to a new member of the team. This guy glowing right behind me. This is the new Tiki oil diffuser from our good friends over at Magic Candle Company. This is a brand new item that they just released. It is $29.95. It has different settings for the lights. Like right now, I have it set to look like candle. It has a different different lengths of time that it can be on. It will do an auto shut off if the water in it gets too low. So you just put some water in, some of their great oils into the water. Right now, we're burning Polynesian. And there, that's what that looks like. And I'll tell you something, within a few minutes of starting it up, studio smells great. Studio smells great. And that's saying something, because Craig is in here, and Craig does not smell great. So if you want to avoid Craig's smell, this is a great solution. Without burning a candle, because if you're like me, you light candles and then you kind of forget that you lit a candle, and you go grocery shopping, or you go to a theme park, and you come back and go, oh, okay, wow, I'm really glad I didn't burn my house down. So that's what I love about these things. And Keith just sent this to me. This was a comp. I like to make sure I'm very clear about that. Keith asked me if he could send it to me, and I could speak about it on the show. So I just did my $29.95 worth of work to push this awesome, and it's so cool. But we need a name for him. I was talking to Craig before the show. Like, I need a name for him, and I didn't know. I just wasn't coming up with anything, and I asked the team what they thought, and they said, ask the audience. So we're going to leave it up to you. I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the chat. Go ahead and start throwing out your suggestions for a name for him. I got to do this backwards, don't I? And it's adorable, right? It's adorable. I think it's so cool. And that's going to be his permanent spot on the show. Well, maybe not permanent, because we have some changes coming up. We have some changes coming up. I'm not saying anything else. You'll tune in one day. You'll tune in one day. Like, oh, they changed it. Kind of like what we did with this. So, anything else anybody wants to... Oh, and it's magiccandlecompany.com. Code DisneyInfo saves you... How much, Denny? 15%. See, I'm addled brains. It's sad. It's sad watching what's happening to me. And I get to have a video record of my slow march.
Your decline.
My slow march into whatever. So, anything else anybody wants to bring up before we get started with the things I want to talk about?
Just quick plug for our DVC fan YouTube channel. We've been doing room tours every week, and we have a really nice room tour coming up this Thursday. We got to stay at a 3-bedroom grand villa at Copper Creek. Pete's there as well, and he loved it. I'll speak for him with that. He can also speak.
Well,
for
you know
himself.
what? Let the audience find out what I thought of it, because
Yep.
I gave my opinions very clearly on this review. But it was really cool. It was really. I'd only ever gotten to see the three bedroom at Wilderness Lodge on a tour, so it's kind of like run and gun. So it was nice to be able to have time to really enjoy it and get to experience it. And yeah, you'll just watch. But that's youtube.com/DVCfan if you want to check that out. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
No one? Because you're not doing any work. That's why you have nothing to talk about. See, I knew it. All right. Okay, first thing up. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that this happens. Is the Peoplemover on track to reopen May 1st? This article was written by the lovely and talented Ms. Denny Sunderly. And I got that right this time because I'm actually looking at the byline. Because every single time I get it wrong. It's sad. Like, again, it's really sad to watch what's happening to me. So, Denny,
Yes.
I've made a park reservation for the Magic Kingdom for May 1st because of this
Good for
article. Are you going to have a job on May 2nd?
Oh, I
no.
certainly hope so. I would like to, that's for sure. I was in there in the Magic Kingdom at the end of the week and had the opportunity to have just a great conversation with one of the cast members, and it was fun. Like, I made the turn into Tomorrowland, and I'm walking over the bridge, and I walk in, and there's the Peoplemover, and I just, I was in 5th grade again, going, oh my gosh, it's moving. I know it's been moving off and on throughout its closure, but just to see it again was just the coolest thing. So I kind of scurried and scrambled over and got video and put it out on social, and then had the conversation I did, and the cast member said that it's been running all day, which is a really big deal because it's not had the downtime that they've been seeing with the attraction. And also it was told to me that they're bringing in cast member after cast member to train on the attraction, which just was really good. And so the cast member said everything definitely is, at this point, all systems go for May 1st.
Okay,
so we'll see.
I've got to be the voice of the audience, and I've got to ask this 2 questions.
Okay.
1, how much training is required to run the Peoplemover?
There's plenty of training, I'm sure. There's safety critical
Hit this
positions
button, then
there,
hit
I'm
this
sure.
button. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, you're trained. Second of all, and this is a serious question.
Yeah.
I would think of all the attractions that Disney has, given the current environment with health concerns, this one was a no-brainer. I mean, you're not put into cars with other parties, right? So you're just going to be with your party. A lot of it's outdoor. The parts that are indoors are pretty cavernous, generally. Why was this shut down for a year, 9 months? I don't get it. I don't get it. And especially, we talk about the capacity, right? It's still, according to Disney, and from multiple sources, not just one source, but from multiple sources that I take seriously. Capacity is still set at 35%. The reason it doesn't feel that way sometimes is because these things that Disney has created to absorb some of these crowds are shut down. One of the stories we're going to get to in a little bit. is about shows and the return of shows and what do we think is going to happen with that, because the fact that those shows have been shut down, everybody's kind of not where they used to be. So it feels like, because, we go onto Main Street and it's crowded, it's a busy day. Well, in fact, it probably is 35%, but the fact that nobody can go into a show, you can't even get on the damn Peoplemover, for God's sakes. What are they going to do? They're going to be walking around. So, am I missing something? Is there a particular threat with the Peoplemover that I'm missing?
I just don't know if it's working the way they need it to work. I know like the ramp was having a lot of issues. However, they already have put the markers on the ramp for where you have to stand. So when it reopens, I mean, the ramps aren't going to be running because otherwise...
The ramps don't run anyway.
Yeah, but otherwise to distance yourself, you would have to start like walking backwards while standing on a ramp, and it's going to be a complete mess in that terms. But I just, as Denny said, even when they've been testing it throughout the day, I've been there watching it run and see the maintenance people come out because they can't even get it to run for 2 hours working without any issues just on a testing day. So it needs to be more efficient for it to open up for all guests.
So this was something I felt a long time, and I mentioned this, that it was kind of a statement about the condition of maintenance in the Magic Kingdom, that the ramp going up to the Peoplemover from ground level never worked. It would work one day and then it would be down for like 3 months. And I'm like, okay, it's a freaking escalator, for God's sakes. You can't keep this working? And I could understand if like, oh, well, there's a major malfunction and we have to replace like the mechanism. How many years does that take? So the fact that the ramp won't be working, no one is going to notice that. No one's going to notice that.
It was running the other day. That was a lot of fun to see. So.
And it's probably the last time you're going to see it for, I don't know, 6 months.
That'll be it.
So I don't know. I'm just very excited. Made my park pass.
Yay.
Made my park pass. Had to get a room on property to do it, but thank God for DVC. But very excited. So May 1st, Denny. May 1st, I'm going to be at the Magic Kingdom. And I'm expecting to get on the Peoplemover. And if it doesn't happen, I have to blame you.
Okay.
I just want to know where the line is supposed to be for the Peoplemover, because even with it continuously loading, for the most part, the what's it called, Astro Orbiter, it's basically taken over the entire line for Peoplemover. Teresa, did you unmute yourself?
I have a comment about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can you mute yourself until you're ready to talk? Just so it's better for audio.
We hear him like whatever you're like brewing or whatever in the office.
Yeah, we had a big discussion. Teresa did not have headphones, and so we have to have her muted in between talking. Otherwise, it's really bad feedback. But with the line, I have no idea where it's going to go because Astro Orbiter is already taken over. So I feel like it's going to cause even more of a headache in Tomorrowland, but it needs to reopen. It's time.
I'm hoping that this intensive training for Peoplemover includes line management in a pandemic. But I'm just excited. I'm excited. Come on, Peoplemover, right? It's like my favorite attraction at the Magic Kingdom. I'm serious. It's my favorite. Mm-hmm. And if I get on it, I'm going to stay on it.
Yes.
I'm going to stay on it. And I'll do a whole like protest thing if I have to.
Oh, goodness.
And I really won't. I really won't.
Could you live stream that? That would be great.
Like fighting with the cast members? No, I'm not getting off. I know Teresa must be very excited at the thought of the Peoplemover returning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, dear, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm excited about it, but you know what? I'm a little worried you were talking about the training and all. They're going to have to coordinate the person at the bottom of the ramp who's putting people on with the person at the top. And I pictured in my head a lot like Lucy and Ethel. That top is going to be shoving people under the cars, so there's no bottleneck there, right? Because once you get to the top of the ramp, at the bottom you can space them easily, right? But when you get to the top, it's going to be chaos. And I want to be there when that happens.
Like the candy making episode?
Yes, it's going to be.
Okay, well, now that's in my head. Now that's in my head. That I'm going to get on the Peoplemover and feel like a piece of chocolate. I already feel like a piece of I look like a piece of chocolate. But yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point, surprisingly.
Because I have to coordinate, you know.
I love Teresa. Do not send me emails. And Teresa, you are out at the Disboards.com Dreams Unlimited Travel Welcome Center out in Cape Canaveral, aren't you?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm here.
She's in her office, which is full of all the things she steals from me.
Hey.
What is all that
No,
on
I'm
that back shelf? You got all that stuff on the back shelf.
That's my office supplies. My yellow paper and my white paper.
Okay.
Hey, we are a working office. Well, we will be a working office again.
Well, you're going to be a working office, and you're going to have some more work. We've been talking about that. Not ready to say anything.
I'm excited about it.
I've got a damn distribution center out there. Might as well do something with it. Otherwise, she's just going to sit there and watch television, which is what she usually does. I'm kidding. She does not. She works incredibly hard. Well, sometimes. I love you, baby.
Love you too.
All right, so let's talk about the change in policy for cast members that Josh D'Amaro recently announced. This article, also written by Denny Sunderly, makes me wonder what is Jackie doing?
A million,
kidding, Jackie.
gajillion things.
I got to be careful. Jackie will have a panic attack. Kidding.
She's amazing.
So as part of the new fifth key of inclusion, introduced company-wide last year, Disney has announced that some of the look guidelines that govern cast members' appearances have now changed. The four keys, safety, courtesy, show, efficiency, have governed and guided the Walt Disney Company and its cast members for 65 years. The newest edition, the key of inclusion, was added at the request of cast members when asked how the company could better cultivate a culture of belonging. So what this involves is, allowing visible tattoos on cast members, among other things. I think they relaxed the restrictions on facial hair a while ago, didn't they?
Yes.
So before it was only mustaches, and now it is beards, but controlled beards, and usually,
Which means you could not work there.
Well, that was a universal. I pressed it real far because they kind of went in line with Disney with it, and it was you can come in with a fully grown beard, but I couldn't show up with stubble and say, no, I'm growing a beard. I would have to take time off if I wanted to grow it, and then
Oh my goodness.
wait for that. So, and I got in trouble for that a lot because I don't grow hair fast, believe it or not.
Oh, never know by the bush that's on your face right now. Because apparently he also doesn't have a beard trimmer. Kidding. I love you. Why am I just ragging on my staff today?
Goodness.
Chat's
We're all
wondering the
gonna
same
need
thing.
therapy.
I don't know. I'm in a pretty good mood. But so I mean, what do we think of this? I mean personally, I'm fine with it. I don't think. I mean, isn't this a policy that kind of harkens back to just another era? And it's not consistent and in line with the world we live in right now. Now, I think there have to be limits. I think there definitely have to be limits. But, Denny, you wrote the article. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, number one, I really love the fact that it was cast member generated. actually probably even before number one, I like that the question was asked, what can we do to foster more of a sense of belonging here at the company? And then when they received the feedback about adding a fifth key, they didn't say, no, can't do that, can't go there. We have floor keys, thank you. We've had them for a long time. Like, it is such a big deal that they've added this fifth key of inclusion. And I think it really speaks to how just the weight of this, how important this is to the company. And literally, it was an overnight change, right? So you talk about it's got to be within reason. It is. So if you've gotten a chance to look, because there are images out there of the new Disney Look guidelines, there are stipulations. Like, yes, you can have a visible tattoo, but it's got to be no bigger than your hand when extended. That is the length of your tattoo. So, and there's other stipulations regarding earrings, 2 pair, that kind of thing. So I think it's a great step in the right direction. I think just the idea that the cast members get a little bit more freedom with how they express themselves. I've had super short haircuts in my life, and I had them for years and years and years. And I have 9 earrings in my right ear right now. Like, that's how many holes I've got.
Wild child.
But the fact that some of the cast members now have a little bit more freedom just to express who they are normally, it's a great thing. I have yet to be back in the parks since, actually, no, I was back in the parks on Wednesday and Thursday, but I had missions to complete. So I wasn't totally taking things in as a guest, but I look forward to the time when I get to go back in and do that and just see some of those ways that cast members are choosing to express themselves.
This also does not surprise me at all coming from Josh tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I may have some issues with some of the decisions made recently with the parks, and I've talked about that on the show. But one thing I can tell you, just knowing Josh, this is a man who is obsessed with his cast members. He considers that his number one job is to take care of his cast. And that's one of the reasons in every position he's held. You talk to anybody that's worked for him, they're going to tell you what an amazing guy he is. So listening to cast members, asking them, what can we do better? What can we do different? Listening to it and implementing a policy from Josh, that's just another day. That's just another day.
I've heard a rumor about this, though, and I'm not sure if it's entirely true, but I've heard that a lot of this, though, for as much as we give him a hard time, I heard that a lot of this is spearheaded by Chapek, and that it's actually very important to him.
Well,
too.
because it's important that he be able to look like Dr. Evil and remain. I wouldn't, look, that may be true, but just knowing Josh, knowing him and having worked with him, I know personally, like, when nobody's around and, it's just him talking, and he lets that Disney guard down. This is what he talks about. He talks about the cast members and things he can do. And the level at which he'll listen and implement is ridiculous. It really says a lot about him.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day whose idea it was. It's a good thing that they're finally paying attention to it. And I think it took way too long to get to this point. But at the end of the day, it's finally happened now. And I do think it's a really good thing. And I've been back twice now, and it's kind of cool seeing the cast members show off some of their tattoos. Like, I'm enjoying getting to see a different side of them in that way, because while I am a stickler in some points to theming and keeping the integrity of the show in place, little things that are visual like tattoos, it doesn't bother me at this point anymore.
I just never thought that some of those things were really integral to the theming and the
Yeah.
experience. I just never have.
And it goes beyond just tattoos too. Like I love the post that's going around on Facebook right now. That's the 2 cast members in Galaxy's Edge. The one is the one person was able to wear pants for the first time ever, or wear shorts for the first time ever, working at Disney because they had a tattoo on their legs, so they weren't able to wear shorts ever. They had to always wear pants. And then the other cast member, part of it too, there's not gendered clothing necessarily anymore. You're able to wear what you are comfortable in terms of the wardrobe for your area. So then it was another person who was wearing part of a costume that typically wouldn't be for their gender in the old way. So it's like it's really sweet that Disney is doing this so people can actually just feel more comfortable while they're at work, especially in these times, because we know how tough it has been. So,
and I'll tell you, I'm pretty heavily tatted out. Like I got like 15 tattoos. My first job when I got a lot of them in the service when I was in the Navy. My first job out of the Navy was in a corporate environment, and whether it was summer or whatever, I had to wear long sleeve dress shirts, and it's just kind of like. It's kind of an archaic rule. Like I understand if you're a performer in a certain role, like if you're Belle, like Belle's not going to have tattoos, right? Because it's Belle. But in most situations, I really don't see a good reason why you'd have to enforce something like that. But.
Yeah, but I think that part of the guideline change is that Belle will now be allowed to smoke cigars.
There you go. Yeah.
On stage.
On stage, with kids. With kids.
Fantastic.
All right, before I move on, any other comments on that particular story?
Teresa, now's your chance.
Okay, I'm here. I think Belle should have a tattoo of her little man right on her arm. Little beast. I love it. I love the whole idea of just be yourself.
No, Teresa's got a few tats, right?
I do. I think it's going to make cast members so much more happy and relaxed, a lot of them, and in turn be friendlier and just make for a better environment.
Does anybody wonder about the timing? I mean, it's just I guess not an odd time when you think about it, but of all the things going on, any idea why? Maybe I'm just being jaded. Maybe I'm being jaded that everything has an ulterior motive. But
it's sorry, Fiasco, go.
I think it's that Bob Chapek actually has a Disney princess tattoo sleeve in either his left or right arm. Summer's coming up, and he wants to wear some tees. That's my speculation.
That is very possible. I know this has been in the works for a decent amount of time, at least a year. So I don't know if the rollout was necessarily they wanted to hit it by a point. I think it was more of a when they're ready to roll it out, they were going to. But it has been something that's been a long time coming.
Well, and also just for me, like the first thought that went through my head is, we've all had a tough year, right? Cast members have had a tough year, and they've had to deal with some crap. We've talked about that in previous shows. That this does probably make them feel better. Mm-hmm. And it's a simple thing. It's an important thing, but it's a simple thing to do that can go a long way. And allowing someone to be expressive of who they are and not feel that they have to hide that or pivot away from that because of their job. Now, obviously, there have to be limits, right? But I think this was a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're still in a pandemic, but we've lived through a decent portion of it. The world's been a crazy place over the past year. At some point, you have to step back and be like, are tattoos and clothing that doesn't seem like it was made for one gender but on another person. Do little things like that, extra earrings, actually make a difference in the grand scheme of everything else that's happened in the world. And I would love to hear an
and
argument for that.
anybody that's going to look at a tattoo or multiple earrings and clutch their pearls doesn't have a social issue. They have a medication issue. Because you're right. What difference does it make? What difference does it make? I mean, I'm sure the emails will come. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, shut up. That's my response right now. Just shut up. Have we had any suggestions in the chat room for a name for?
We got a lot of suggestions. There hasn't been any real consensus on a single name. My favorite one was Tiki Tudis. As
Yes.
a throwback
Tiki Tudis. Wow,
Tudis,
that's
but-
really, really good.
Yeah,
We have to find out who came up with that. I may have to send them something.
Yeah, to me that one is probably my favorite because it's just got that flow. It's a callback for the show. It works. It works.
Tiki Tudis. Tudis for Tanner. When John, and for those who aren't watching, somebody find it and we'll post a link. There was a show where when John was doing the news, and there was a fundraiser going on for a young boy named Tanner, and it was called Tutus for Tanner. And John read the story. He was pronouncing it Tutus. Tutus for Tanner. And
Hysterical.
it became a thing, right? It became a thing. I mean, if we could find a name based on "Here's your rocket bar, you fat cow," that would be awesome. Because that was, I think, that was one of my favorite lines of John's. "Here's your rocket bar, you fat cow." The other one was, "That's the gayest thing I ever heard, and I married a man." Those are my two favorite John lines. There's a lot of them, but that one, those two. Those were two, I think we were I don't think we were live for those shows. I think we were pre-recording. Those are ones where I got to stop. I had to stop and kind of take a moment because I was laughing so hard. There's others, but some of them we could never repeat again.
No.
We could never
and
repeat again.
As someone who was listening to those episodes, those are moments where you are laughing out loud with earbuds in your ears in the middle
love
of
those.
Target because it's just so good. So I like the Tudis one. I think that's great.
Yeah, Tudis for Tanner. So Tiki Tudis.
I have the name of the person too. It's just GAN. I don't know their exact name, but yeah.
Okay, G what?
GAN.
GAN.
That's their YouTube handle. So
Okay, Gan. That's your name now. Your name is Gan. Well, thank you, Gan, because we have Tiki Tudis now. I like that name. So so it is. So it is named Tiki Tudis. All right. Last thing I want to talk about before we get to the contributor article that I want to talk about. We learned yesterday from the Orlando Sentinel. This is a story by Jackie Gailey. Nice, we have one of hers. That Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay is bringing back indoor shows starting in May. They've announced, what their capacity limits are going to be, what their social distancing, requirements for masks, all that stuff. And while Disney has announced some returns, like they're going to be doing, highlights of Festival of the Lion King or whatever they're calling it, I think it's kind of a bad look for Disney that Busch Gardens is coming back with shows before they are. Now, I think we are going to see more because, as I was mentioning before, we have the problem. These shows were created to help with moving people around the parks and absorbing people. One of the things I've always loved about Epcot is that park just naturally absorbs crowds. And that's why they can fit a lot more people in there, and it doesn't feel like, oh my God. So what do we think? Do we think that this is going to put any pressure on Disney? I mean, do they really care what Busch Gardens is doing?
I don't think they do. To be honest, I mean, I could understand where.
Okay, well, then maybe the question really should be, they probably don't care what Busch Gardens is doing, but in an instance like this, maybe they should. Maybe they should.
They'll do it. I think they'll do it when it makes sense for them to do it. I think that they're looking at a lot of different factors and moving parts and pieces. And once all of the planets come into alignment and it's something that makes sense for them to do, they'll do it. They are probably this, the sing-along coming back was certainly a test balloon in October. I think personally it was successful. It's a really enjoyable time. It's done in a very distanced way inside the theater, the whole 9 yards. So you get your cake and you get to eat it too. I think the celebration of the Festival of the Lion King in mid-May will be much the same thing. It's going to be a bit of a test balloon. They're going to look at this and they're going to, gauge and judge and there'll be multiple teams in there just evaluating, okay, how does this feel and was it doing and how many people are coming in? Are they taking advantage of it? So many different factors have to add up for it to be a responsible thing in Disney's eyes, I'm sure, to be able to bring something back. Would we love it? Absolutely. I would love for everything. I'd love for, Nemo the musical to come back to Animal Kingdom. Everybody knows I would love that. But it'll come back, and it'll come back when it makes sense for them.
Well, if Busch Gardens doing this doesn't phase Disney, maybe the article that we're going to talk about has that for a segue, by Sherry Kessler, one of the contributors on the Diz. Faith Trust wears the pixie dust. Now, this is stuff that we have talked about previously. Universal is seeing a tremendous boom in interest. A, because they're selling annual passes, but B, because the narrative has not been for several months. Closing, layoff, fired, closing, not doing this, not doing that. And the attitude I'm hearing more and more, anecdotal, we haven't done like surveys or anything, but when I saw this article, when I read this article, I'm like, this encapsulates what the problem is right now facing Disney. And in the article, Sherry shares that she's planning for an upcoming Disney World vacation, and she has gratitude for being able to go, for the lifting of COVID domestic travel restrictions, the gift of having Walt Disney World as an option. But with all that positivity, the glass is half full. It's half empty because of my choice to stay on Disney property. It's an expensive decision, and I wonder if I'm being taken advantage of. Now, let's pay attention to those last words. Being taken advantage of. Now, why would someone feel taken advantage of right now? And what do we hear? Prices of the resorts haven't gone down. Prices of tickets haven't gone down. Prices of nothing have gone down. What has gone down are a number of attractions, a number of shows, the number of cast members. And I don't think people are wrong for feeling that way. Now, there's an understandable reason why it is that way right now. If this was just, 2019 and this was going on, then I think there would be a different response, at least from me. But generally speaking, I get what she's saying.
Yes.
And I think this is part of the reason that people are seeking out alternatives. You know, you look at what it costs to stay at a Universal resort, and stunning resorts across the board. With their premium resorts, you get Express Pass with your room key. You get perks like that for being a resort guest. You don't have as many things shut down. You don't have as many things taken offline. But I am hearing this over and over and over and over again, that basically people feel like they're being taken advantage of. So, like I said, if Busch Gardens starting up stage shows again doesn't faze Disney, when your biggest fans are sharing on social media, talking on podcasts, writing articles on websites, saying, we kind of feel like we're being taken advantage of. Well, then that should get your attention. That should get your attention. And believe me, I have made this argument to Disney in multiple ways. Privately, on the show, I've made this argument that, yes, we understand. We understand that there are restrictions because of COVID. But how much of those are about public safety and how much of those are about saving a buck? And if you're going to charge, granted, you're at 35%. From a business perspective, I completely get it. But if all you're thinking about is the current situation and not what the long-term goal is going to be, because we all know what's going to happen, folks. We all know what's going to happen. We'll be on the other side of this pandemic. And some of these things are never coming back. Because they have been looking to raise price, cut service for as long as I've been doing this job. But they never had a good enough reason. That reason has been handed to them on a silver platter. And I love Josh, and I love the folks that run Disney. I will be stunned if I'm wrong. I will be stunned if I'm wrong. I think there are going to be things from what we will define as the COVID era that will never come back, even long after there's no reason that they should be gone, other than the fact that they can run the parks cheaper, charge more. Anybody disagree with me? And
Way
you're
to
allowed
depress
to?
me.
They're allowed to disagree
Way
with
to
me.
depress me. I hope you're totally wrong. Because clients right now feel like they need a good reason to come to Disney. Because they don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. They feel like they know what it was like before, and they want to bring it. I'm going to cry, good Lord. I haven't cried in years.
Yeah, right.
I want to know what it's like. What?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, right. You haven't cried in years. If by years you mean like 20 minutes.
Last night. Okay, I teared up last night. Anyway, I just feel like they want to bring their kids and their grandkids and show them what it was like. And they're not going to see it. You're wrong. You better be wrong. Hang on, I need my tissue.
Well,
Oh my God.
it really is the responsibility, our responsibility collectively as fans, to ensure that it does not happen. We've seen, not all the time, but when we all speak with one voice, and I'm not saying we start this now, right? I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about then. When. We have to be on the other side of this first. There has to be some semblance of a return to normalcy. And if we start seeing this, we as the fans have to be the keeper of the flame. We have to be the keeper of the flame. And when we speak loudly with one voice, believe me, they listen. They listen. For example, just random example, when they pulled Magical Express, Disney was dumbfounded at the response. They were dumbfounded. Why do people like this so much? And they haven't listened to the point of bringing it back. But don't you think it's funny that Mears is like, okay, you're not going to do it. We are. So Mears has announced their plans to do their version of Magical Express. I mean, Mears was the company Disney contracted to do it. But we're going to have to speak with one voice if that ever happens. What, Craig?
Bringing it back around to the show aspect of it, and speaking as a collective voice, I know we attach a lot of emotions to some of the shows, but I honestly, we talked about this on Off the Rails, I think last week. I think some of the shows are better off going out into the sunset as they've been closed down. Like I think they need to realize we're not going to invest a lot of money back into the parks at this current second, but Indiana Jones has got to go at some point. Beauty and the Beast live on stage has got to go at some point. Little Mermaid at Hollywood Studios has to go at some point. I mean, there's a lot that just needs freshened up.
Okay, Little Mermaid, you're fired. You're fired. No, and I agree with you. There are some of them that it's time for them to change. They've been around for a long time. Change, not disappear.
Exactly.
Change. That is a very, very big difference between we're just not bringing this back. And, okay, we're not bringing that back, but we're doing this instead. My thing is about the stuff that's, okay, prediction. FastPass will come back with a price tag.
Yep.
FastPass will come back with a price tag.
I agree.
And when it does, we should all shelter in place. We should all shelter in place because the internet is going to lose its mind. The fan community is going to lose its mind. And that's what I mean. That there are some things that just will never come back, and this situation will be used as an opportunity to do something they've wanted to do but couldn't have gotten away with it in 2019. But they can get away with it in 2021.
I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. I understand why. I mean, I remember you said it back in the day when gas prices just soared. Remember when we were all paying $4 and change for a gallon of gas? And I remember you saying on the show at that point, hey, the airlines, when they started charging an extra fee and overage because of the cost of gas per barrel, and I just, crude oil, I remember when you said, hey, listen, folks, they've wanted to do this for years. The travel industry, the airlines, they've wanted to do this, and now they have a reason, and I doubt it's going back.
Well, and does anybody remember when we didn't have to pay extra to check a bag? That was done because of the oil price increase. And that it costs us more with these bags, so we have to limit the size and the number, and we're going to charge everybody unless you're this or unless you're that. And I mean, like I'm platinum, well, not this year, but generally platinum medallion with Delta. I get 3 bags at 70 pounds free for the loyalty. Now, there was a time where they didn't do that. They didn't charge for these things. They used this temporary situation to institute policies they'd always wanted to institute. And once the situation was no longer a factor, the policy remained in place. The policy remained in place. And it's up to us, really. It's going to be up to us to call them out on it. I mean, I'm up for it if you are.
Storm the barricade.
Well, at least call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. And if you're going to charge us more and give us less, you know, I always say, like, okay, eventually the market's going to speak, right? The market's going to speak. Hasn't spoken yet, which is why they keep getting away with stuff. But this has been a game changer. 2020, 2021, this is a game changer. So I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think, I really, honestly, I'm sorry, Fiasco, just give me a second. I honestly don't think the number of people who used to go to Disney World will be so interested in crowds. I think there's been a collective trauma in society. And I don't think we're going to be really big on crowds for a long time. I mean, I was never big on crowds. But I think this puts it in a different perspective. So I think you're going to see things like that on the other side that will be different. And that, you know, what that impact is going to be on the market remains to be seen. But so far, you know, every time they would raise the price of an annual pass and everybody soil themselves and be like, oh, I'm not going again. And 6 months later, what are they doing? Buying an annual pass and going to the Magic Kingdom.
I have a lot of respect for the people who say they're giving up and they actually do it. I know that I am too addicted to be able to actually.
Well, that's why I got
up.
to a point, because I used to like want, you know, rant and rave about the price of tickets, and then I realized I'm paying it, so I need to shut up. I need to shut up about it. Because if I'm going to buy them, if I'm going to go ahead and shell the money out, then I don't have a right to bitch. I really don't. So I had to stop whining about the price of tickets. Stop ranting about them. I channel you when I rant. We'll go with that.
But don't we, I mean, we all have so many emotions tied up in our Disney vacations. These are our parks. You know, Sherry talks in her article. I mean, it is hers. This is very, very personal, right? And it is for all of us on different levels. And I think that's why we've got so much passion behind these things that we really don't want to go away. Like all the live entertainment around the World Showcase. Yes, we have some options back now, but daggone it, those taiko drummers not being there, that makes a big difference. Like little things like that have gone away. Of course, we all want them back. We are very emotionally tied to these parks. We love them so much.
And we can understand when those things are taken away because there's a global pandemic. But we should not be nearly as understanding if those things don't come back in the aftermath. Or, whoa! Okay, folks. We are going to have to sign off here. I'm sure you just heard that. I'm sorry. We're having a great discussion, but we got to go. Have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday.